Welcome to my channel, Redeeming Thunder. I wanted to take some time and share this wonderful prophetic word given by Ruach HaKodesh. And this has been ongoing for some time. And on the physical earth, this has been happening. And so Yahuah has been wanting to, you can also say Yahuah, has been wanting to express a bit more details regarding the topic of false prophets. The prophetic word was Ata Shema. And specifically, Ata means to cover, to envelop oneself, to cover oneself. And it references when a scripture in 1 Samuel, and I will put these verses up above in the video so that you can read them. It's referencing when King Saul was in shambles. So at first he was a mighty king, but all of his triumphs got to his head, and he went after the ordained king to be, who is David, and he started seeking diviners, medians, to disclose prophetic word, guidance for him. Okay, so back in the day, the kings relied on prophetic word. And I believe the president relies on prophetic word. And I believe that even those who do not believe in Yahuah also watch prophetic word channels, a prophetic voice. They follow because they want to know what's coming up next, so that to manipulate it into their purpose, and to stop to stop the blessings, the barakas, and the positive transformation from occurring, because they don't know, they don't have the power and might that Yahuah has. So they do. What I'm trying to say is sometimes witches attend the church. I know it seems odd, but they do. And they go not to be transformed into Yahuah's image. They go to disrupt and to block and to blind, spiritually blind the congregation. And they go off of who is at the pulpit. They can perceive what's going on. If there's some hidden sins, those sins who are at the pulpit, who are the Levites, okay, who are the ones that are worshiping, if they're not in holy consecrated, they will, and they are dabbling in some hidden sins that are not repenting of, they can disperse the same sins in the church. And that is what the witches do. They see who's weak, they see who is half-seas Christian, and they run with it. Okay, now that was a little bit on a tangent, but I just wanted to explain that Saul, he was so desperate because things weren't going good. Okay, the Philistines were attacking. And if you were watching my prophetic word, that has a lot to do with the attack of the bears, a different video. And They're attacking from all sides, and he does not know what to do. Okay? Like he feels like his kingdom is crumbling beneath him. And that's exactly what is happening. Kings on this earth, kings' kingdoms are crumbling. And so, not all kings, just the ones who have been relying on their own power, on their own strength, on their own triumphs, and not giving glory and honor to Yahuah, who have been doing things maliciously and not honoring, okay? Not honorable. It's all coming to a crashing end for certain kings. The point is here, he went to a psychic, a witch, and he wanted insight from a prophet, because the prophets on earth were not giving prophetic word. He felt the mantle, the anointing of Yahuah's power leave him. The protection, he felt it, and now he was experiencing it. So now he's so desperate that he's going to a psychic to figure out what can he do to change things around for himself. And this psychic begins, she didn't want to be known, or he covered himself, okay? So first he put this mantle, covered himself. And she, because he didn't want people to know that the king that believed in Yahuah is now going and seeking some insight, some prophetic insight to mediums. Okay? It's looked down upon. So the medium in the story here, in the real life story, she was nervous and she didn't want to get in trouble from his supposed deity, the Almighty Elohim. Okay? And he says, I am trying to get some prophetic insight. I really am desperate now. And so she calls forth a spirit. And it's stating in the verse that it comes from the earth. And immediately Saul he believes that it is Samuel, the prophet. And the prophet is stating, what do you want? What do you want? And so what's going on is, he's like, everybody is attacking me. I don't know what to do. Can you please give me some insight? But there's some key components in that verse. First of all, in that verse is stating that the one that he thought is Saul was covered. He enveloped himself in a robe. And a robe stands for a mantle. Okay? Then if you read the commentary, it's stating that it could have not have been Saul. Because why would Saul be coming from the earth? That is specific details there. If it was Saul, why would he be coming out of the earth? Shouldn't he be coming out of heaven? From the heavens? Shouldn't he be coming straight down? But it wasn't him, because the diviner does not have power to bring forth a heavenly being down to earth. Okay, second of all, it's stating in the commentary she doesn't even have power to bring forth from an ancestor. So this is on the lines of necromancy. She doesn't have power to bring forth someone that has perished. So who's going to come out is a spirit. It's going to be a demon. But specifically in this commentary, it's talking about where these rabbis are believing that it is the devil himself, disguising himself, putting on a false mantle on himself. And that in itself is, he's even deeper calamities than he once was before. What is going on is Yahuah is this exposing the ones who have covered, enveloped themselves with a mantle of a prophetic gift. He's disclosing who have given themselves a title, and it was not the Most High giving the title. Okay, that's where we're at right now. It's the word ata means to envelop, to cover oneself. Okay, there is a key component with the next word, but I wanted to give a little more insight regarding this false prophetic exposure. The other categories that would signify of false prophetic is someone, because Saul wasn't prophetic. Maybe he received prophetic words, right? Prophetic dreams, but not, is basically, it was speaking about in the context when those do not say the entire truth and they try to mask the truth, when they manipulate things to go according to their will in a malicious manner. Okay, not disclosing all. It's deceit. When those also only decide to provide insight that would please the people, and it's not the full insight. Okay, it's not the total insight of the prophetic word. They left out a few things that are vital details, because they want the huge following. They crave the fame. They crave the fortune. They crave the attention. And if they start to say the nitty-gritty facts, the little details that really, really matter to help us become righteous, to help us, it's going to be things that we don't want to hear. It's going to be correcting our behavior. It's going to be making us accountable. It's going to cause us to think. It's going to cause us to reflect. And a lot of people that certain prophets know that they're not going to get a huge following if they say everything. Okay? They're going to get the attention that they feel they deserve if they just say what the people want to hear. So they sort of made things up. Okay? Or one could be a false prophet if they're always getting their intels from another prophet, and they're not actually, they never really got it in the secret place, one-on-one. Okay, that's another way that one could fall into a their own entrapment in falling into the category of a false prophet. And right now, Yahuah is exposing those who have been dabbling in other manners to get the downloads. Okay? You can't get the download from the heavens, and also from mediums, and also from witchcraft or occult-like rituals, and or from one's own opinion. We are not the Most High. Okay, we're supposed to be relying solely on Him. So there's going to be a ton of exposure to this, because He wants it to stop. The exposure means they get caught and they get dismantled from their position. That is why there's going to be new wineskins. That is why there's going to be others with coming up to the front lines with these mantles that are not going to tweak the word to make it sound to force it is for you if it's for you, and it's not for you if it's not. Okay? But that's why you go into the secret place and ask Yahuah for confirmation. But this is the thing. There is one more detail. And overall, the true prophets are the ones who follow the commandments. And not just the commandments, there's a specific, most important one. And it is the Shema. And this is given in Matthew 22. And it states to love Yahuah with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and the greatest commandment. The second and most important commandment would be to love your neighbor as yourself. So, in other words, we're not holding grudges towards people, even those that have caused a lot of torment and chaos. We are loving them. We are loving our neighbor, even if our neighbor is our enemy. We are loving our enemies. Okay? We are not going to be coming up with our own doctrine and being like, I'll love the people that are easy to love. Only them. Okay? This is judgment time, so they are going to be reaping their own demise. This is not a time to gloat. This is not a time to be happy for their demise. Pray for them, because it's going to be really rough. And forgive them. Yahuah has been telling me that it's time to forgive. You want your prayers to reach the heavens? It's time to forgive. And some people are very afraid of forgiving because they feel that if they forgive, they have to let that person back in their life at the same level that it was before. And that's not what forgiving is. I know this because I had to take a year-long counseling class understanding how to set boundaries. Because I was trying to be righteous under Yahuah's eyes. So I kept letting certain people in. But He doesn't say let all these people in. He says forgive them so I can forgive you, right? Show mercy. So how we forgive is we're letting go of the fear that they could hurt us again. Or if some are feeling hatred, we're letting go of the anger and the strife. And it does not excuse the behavior that they did. It puts you in a righteous mode so that way your prayers are heard in the heavens. If you can see it in that manner, if you can follow these commandments of to love Yahuah. If you truly say that you love Yahuah with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, then you need to follow his commandments. Don't just follow the ones that are easy. We're going to follow the one. And it's, if you love him and he says forgiveness is needed, then forgiveness is what you do. Okay? And you literally take the time and you say their name out loud. I forgive so-and-so for doing this, this, and that. If that helps. It's releasing. Because in all reality, they're living their own life. And they maybe have harmed you. And they may not come and say sorry to you. It doesn't say forgive them if they come and apologize to you. For every little detailed, crime. This is the last step needed to elevate, to be in alignment with Yah. You need to love Yahuah with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. And then also love thy neighbor. And it's easy to love sweet and kind neighbors. It's difficult. It is very difficult when your neighbors, it doesn't just mean your neighbors from next door in your house. It means everyone around. Okay? And because he's calling forth these new mantles on prophets. New prophetesses are coming into the forefront. Some of them are still in hiding. He has hid them on purpose because it's for further down the road dimension. He does it on purpose. He's equipping people on different levels. And every single one who is going to thrive, that he has called forth in this hour, also had to put Shema as a daily remembrance, and also to love thy neighbor. Those who are becoming kings and queens are given a higher mandate, and they need to have that level of love, to forgive and to love. Lead with love, not with fear and holding your love in your little pocket and snatching it away. Lead with love. And it's difficult to do. It's difficult when they have hurt you before, that you're going to be surrounded with certain people that have hurt you before. Who you have now in your life in present day are the ones that are supposed to be in this hour. I know it may feel like I don't have this person, or that person is in college, or this person is, living in Kentucky or something, or living in across the world. But right now there is a journey of living in the moment and loving your Yah in the moment, as life is in the moment, in this dimension of time. And as these exposure comes through, they are still our neighbors. You still love those who have been, they fell in the entrapment of the enemy. We put these people on high pedestals thinking that they can never sin. They can never make mistakes. We have to be careful that we don't worship the prophet or the prophetess. We worship the Most High, who's above that prophetic voice. This is a real life story that I want to share. Thank you, Ruach HaKodesh, for giving me this. It's quite personal, but I think it needs to be said. So I have a family member who watched, who came along. We invited and watched along as we attended these Christian churches in our childhood and youth and young adulthood. And both of these churches ended up being cult-like. Not saying, one of them was a Baptist church that was also dabbling in spiritism, which is again another medium. Another one was, they were very controlling and manipulative. And I mean, you had to pretty much live there. You got to go to church 5 days a week, 6 days a week in order to serve, in order to feel like you have a calling. Like, they didn't honor who Yahuah called. It was the deacons, and it was a lot of this dictatorship to cast mantles on. And they wouldn't really cast many mantles because they needed the mantle. They wanted to keep the followers. It was just like this control trip, okay? And there was a lot going on that maybe someone that was freshly new could see. That when one is in it, you're not really, especially your eyes are not open, you're not really noticing how detrimental it is. But all she saw was us being gone. We're trying to be in the choir, and there was so much mandatory, attendance, or you're like almost called a sinner or something, like put on blast, like a faulty, and it was very stressful to try to make time for family and try to make time for Yahuah, and being detrimentally scolded, okay? Anyway, she saw all that, and so one day she says, that is why that I don't believe in Yahusha, because you guys believed in him, and look how your lives turned out, all in shambles. Like broken marriages in the past, financial problems, what else? A lot of stealing, a lot of destroying, happening, a lot of illness. And I told her, I'm like, we did not realize that some of these sins from our ancestors fall upon this generation. And so we're experiencing the detrimental consequences of the sins of the forefathers. Second of all, it's been a journey to learn that those churches were not in truth, in the light of Yahuah. Okay, I said, but it doesn't matter. I said, because if you can see, I'm still following Yahuah. My faith is not going to be based on how it turned out for the others, and your faith should not be focused on how our lives turned out. Some of it could be getting false prophetic word of who we were supposed to marry. That's what happened to me. Of someone's opinion and not an actual true prophetic voice. And then, you know, it really matters who you marry. They can either lift you up or tear you down and destroy your life. Okay? And I said, not only that, but yes, our own sins can cause a lot of strife and a lot of consequences. I'm like, but then there could be curses. I said, there could be familiar spirits. Familiar spirits could be even in the bloodline. If you see, what are your medical history from your family line? If you see that there's a lot of health issues, there's a lot of like detrimental health issues. Okay, that in itself is a familiar spirit of a spirit of infirmity. If you see in your family line, there's a lot of divorces, there's a lot of single women, single mothers, there's a lot of maybe there's alcoholism, maybe there's, you know, a family line of satanicism. That obviously opened doors. Okay, so what was these problems that occurred is not just within oneself, it was from the family line. So I told her, I'm like, you shouldn't look to us. I'm like, that's why you shouldn't look to us and be like referencing, I won't follow Yah because it looks like Yah did not protect them. It looks like Yah forgot about them. It looks like we were obsessed with church. And really, what we were trying to do is honor. And so anyways, she also saw it as she doesn't need to believe. She knows he exists, but she doesn't need to believe in him. And I said, well, whether you lose it all or you get barakas, you get blessings, he deserves to be honored and praised. And a lot of people only want to praise Yah when life is going good. And they don't want to praise Yah. They don't want to get on their knees and be humbled when life is difficult. And it almost seemed like she blamed us for her difficulties in her life. And life wouldn't have been that rough. And maybe she resented that we weren't there, or we lived in different homes. This is a sibling. Because it was a divorce, and this was another sibling. So, for the majority, you know, we did not live in the same home. So, you know, but the parenting plan, that was out of our hands. There was some dynamic, and, you know, there was friction in the stepmother relationship, and she won't really understand because it's her mother, and it's difficult for her to understand that the dynamic is not of what we are now 20 years later. It's better now. But when people are resentful, they try to make excuses. They tried to pin the blame. And I did air out I did tell her. Sometimes people make mistakes. They go to the wrong church. You know? They relied. They trusted. We trusted in this leadership to guide us. And it was not the best. You know? And so, either way, she still stated, well, I'm going to seek mediums. Because the reason why we got into that conversation is that I noticed that she was seeking mediums. I noticed that she was relying on Zodiac. And she was proud. And I wasn't sure that she knew that it was witchcraft. Wasn't sure if she knew that her sage and her crystals were witchcraft. So I sent her a video of what this is. Because I realized she's somewhat religious. She's somewhat spiritual. She believes she's spiritual. You know, she wants healing so desperately. But once I realized that she knew what she was getting herself into, her intentions of sharing her pagan rituals with others who were not underage and not wanting, it wasn't her children. I said, you cannot enforce your religious beliefs on someone else's children. You know? And that struck a chord there. Because she wanted, sometimes people come in your life and they help you for a bit, and then it becomes a new belief that is not, you know, corresponding to your roots. Okay, and you have to decide. I'm not going to hold grudges. I'll pray for them, but what does one have to do with the darkness? You know, it's been a journey. Closing doors, breaking bondage of familiar spirits. It's been a journey, and so you should value in your journey and not be flexible if those are still going to dabble in that. And the thing is, there was another situation where when people that dabble in the occults, they feel offended or they want revenge, of course they're going to use their witchcraft. Okay? There's been several pastors where they would receive a trinket box and there's some oddball items that are in the box, and they're all cursed items that don't make sense. There's no rhyme or reason. And instantly, when you have a spirit of discernment, you know what it is. And it's sad when people go to that length, and they go and they think that because she could not penetrate her beliefs. Okay? There was an attempt to curse yet more. So then, see, the friendship wasn't genuine. And that box wasn't for me, it was for somebody else that I know of. And again, you would think that's a good moment to hold a grudge and hate that person because they did that. But they are desperately lost. Okay. So even this is a perfect moment to forgive and to love thy neighbor as thyself, because they do not know what they're doing. Ask Yahuah to have mercy, because they do not know what they're doing. They do not know. They're doing it out of revenge. They're doing it because they're starving for a spiritual enlightenment. They're doing it because it's got to be something that works besides Yahushua in their mind. And I said, you cannot put people on a pedestal. Life is better, because we broke all these bondages. Okay, you can't live of this world. You have to be transformed in the spirit. Okay, we're live on this world. We're not of this world, so we cannot do and dabble in two different spiritual realms. Only one. And Yahuah is exposing, and he's calling us to expose, not to look down on them, not so that way to hate, but to pray for them, because there's consequences for doing that. There's consequences for who you decide to believe, what dimension, spiritual realm you are seeking your insights from. Has to be only from the heavens, and the way you do that, and you open the heavens doors to barakas, is Shema, loving Yahuah with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. And the other commandment is to love thy neighbors as you love yourself. I hope this blessed you. This brought much insight, much knowledge, much wisdom. Now it is up to you what you do with this insight. Pray for those who have dabbled. Forgive yourself if you have ever dabbled and you did not know, or you knew but you thought it would be fine, but there was an instinct in you telling you this may not be correct. Forgive yourself. Nobody's perfect, but we're all trying to be righteous. And perfectionism and righteousness is not the same thing. They're mutually exclusive. If you can pray for those that are being exposed in this hour, that Yahuah will find mercy. That would be ideal in this hour. Hallelujah. Shalom.